Welcome to this tutorial on grabbing some audio files from the server to use in your project work. So we're going to be looking for audio files, music tracks, and sound effects that we can copy down from the server to our C drive and then bring into Final Cut Pro. This is a good example machine because the dock isn't what you normally see on a login, and we're missing some stuff on the desktop that you would also normally see on a login. But you're going to be able to see the server that has those files on it on your desktop. And if you're not seeing it, you have to go to your Finder and then your Finder Preferences. And then I would check off Show Your Hard Disk, so you're seeing now the Mac hard drive here. If I turn that on and off, you'll see it. And then Show Connected Server. So the district has it set up so that when you log in, the connected servers also kind of appear on your desktop. So you're going to see your H drive. If you're using that in other classes, you can get to that from our lab as well. And also you're seeing this TP Tech drive, and that's a server where we put files kind of in between two machines. Like if you wanted to transfer a file from one machine to another, that's kind of like the midpoint. So that's what we're looking for. And then we're going to double click into the server. And it's a Finder window, and you can sort, like if you wanted to sort by name or date modified. I'm going to sort by name so I can navigate to the folders that are important. So if you needed sound effects or music, for music, there's two folders. There's IB Audio. It looks like it has a label, orange. And then there is, there should be Pro Scores. So that's alphabetically Pro Scores here. And maybe we'll label this as well. Command I. Can I label here? Where's that under this window? There we go. We'll label it orange as well. So Pro Scores has more cinematic sounds. So if you wanted to kind of get like movie score-ish sounds, this would be the place for it. So Pro Scores music in Pro Scores, and then what I do is find the WAV files, single click them, and then spacebar to preview. So I have headphones, plug them, and then we should be able to hear it. Spacebar, and then you would be able to hear kind of if you like a song or not. So spacebar preview, spacebar kind of makes it go away as well. And then I use the arrow keys, so you can kind of down arrow till you get to another wave, spacebar. Okay, so let's say this is a track that we like. We would copy it, Command C, and then you're going to want to navigate to your LaCie drive. So double click to your LaCie drive, and you have the second window open. And then we're on Samson's machine, so we're going to go into his folder. And then you probably want to make subfolders within this folder. We made this early on in the year, but this is kind of like the main folder where you guys will be storing any of the work that you do in class. Instead of storing it on the main hard drive, you store it on the attached hard drive. So within it, like we've been kind of just exporting stuff to it, but you may want to clean this up at this point. So we can make a new folder, and maybe we can call this exports, and then drag all of our exported material into the exports folder, and then maybe we'll make a new folder, and let's call this music. And then in the music folder, I could then paste the file that I copied from the server. Command V, paste the file. So now it's copied that file down, and what we've just done is taken this file from kind of a networked situation where it would have to get to your machine through the blue cables behind your machine to a local file. So the local file means it's connected kind of directly to your machine. The FireWire drives that connect to your machine are much faster than the network cables that are connected to your machine. So we never want to work with files off of a server. We always want to make sure that those files are on a local drive. So now that we have it on the local drive, we'd be able to bring this into Final Cut Pro using the import command. If you're missing stuff from your dock, like let me just show you the import process just so everybody's clear on it. You can go to your Finder. We already have a Finder window open, that's why it didn't do anything. And then Applications, and then find the file that, or the application that you want. So here's Final Cut Pro, and you can click and drag this down to your dock. So now you have it in your dock all the time. Then we're going to open up Final Cut Pro, and then you would want to make sure that you have your library open and you have an event for whatever you're working on. So we would go here, and then File New Event, and then this event is going to be dated, and we would call this, we're currently working on Bench Project. And then in our library, so if I click on this, it's on the LaCie drive. We have a dated bench project folder, and then you might want to make a new timeline, and that's called a project. So file, new project, and then 3.1.16 bench project. So here's our project, and then you could then import Command I or file import, and that's this window that we're familiar with. But rather than being an SD card that's connected, you're going to navigate to where you've copied the file from the server to the hard drive. So I'm going to go to the LaCie drive, and I'm going to go find that folder that I just worked on. So it was in here, in music, and then here's my track, and you're going to see it's an audio file, and there's going to be no video preview. Copy to library. Now this is kind of the part of the year where you need to start thinking about where files are and how they are getting into Final Cut Pro. So in this case, we could say leave files in place because it's already on the LaCie drive. If we said copy to library, it would make a copy of this file in your in your library. So if I went to LaCie drive and then Samson's library and control-click show package contents, and then within the bench project in the bench project folder, there would be, once I import it, let me just leave that copy to library import and then go back over here. There would be an original media, and then it's been copied in, so we have another copy of it. So you can do that with audio files, but when you have lots of files, you may want to check off when you're doing that, leave file in place if it's already on the LaCie drive instead of making another redundant copy of it and tying up space on your drive. I've seen scenarios where somebody is doing this with video files, let's say 40 high-definition video files, and we're talking about 10 or 20 gigs worth of information. You really wouldn't need to copy that again and tie up the space on the LaCie drive. So that's just a little bit of a file management tip. So at this point, you would have your audio to the timeline now, and then you'd be able to do your editing work. You may want to wait to drag it to the timeline because it's not recognizing that this has any video. So it's asking, hey, this doesn't have any video properties. Do you want to set the video properties? If you choose to set them like this and say OK right now, then when you would bring a video clip in, the timeline would be formatted this way. So you might want to wait until you get your HD video to the timeline, and then it'll kind of auto-recognize what that video format is, and then you can start bringing your audio clips to the timeline. So that was music. Let's go back to the server again. I'm going to hide Final Cut Pro, Command H, go back to the server. Close that door. So we would then check out Pro Scores for music. We could check out IB Audio. Now, IB Audio has a hipper kind of content. It's got like, drum and bass and dubstep stuff. The other, and it's got some cinematic stuff under action and the different genres. It kind of talks about what they are. So you might want to look through IB Audio, and you might want to look through the Pro Scores folders for music. And then we have a sound effects folder. So sound effects, this is thousands of sound effects files that you could use if you wanted to kind of add in any sound effects to your project. So, large applause, spacebar preview, same process. So let's say we like the large applause, we would copy that, and then we would make sure we're on our LaCie drive. And we would go into our folder, and let's say we made a new subfolder here and called this SFX, and then we would go into that folder and Command V paste, and now we have this file on our LaCie drive that we could import into Final Cut Pro, Command I, and then we have to go to this folder, sound effects, large applause, and then here instead of copy to library, I'm going to do the leave files in place like I was talking about with file management. Since it's already on the LaCie drive, we don't have to make another copy of it. Import, and now we have two different files in our project that we can drag to the timeline and work on sound design. So that's kind of the tutorial. We need to make sure that we have the TV Tech drive accessible, and then you can look through the various folders that have sound effects, and then the two music folders are IB Audio and ProScore. And then we're going to be spacebar preview, Command-C copy, and then when you like a file, paste it down to your LaCie drive, and make sure you start cleaning up your main root folder and adding some subfolders so that you can paste them into. And then you get them into Final Cut Pro by importing.